But just wanted to clarify that for anybody. You don't have to petition to be on the ballot because of Mike Kole, who is also our Hamilton County Chair. And he is going to talk about the planning that goes into running a race and starting your campaign successfully, because that's the most important. Start it right, then it runs right on time, like a well-oiled train.
Just
that's even a saying.
I want to clarify a couple things. What Chris said about actually getting on the ballot. If you're going to run for a county office other than county prosecutor, then your county chair, if you're in an organized county, well, your county will stage a county convention next spring sometime, hopefully immediately before or after our state convention. Your county chair and your county secretary will then file what used to be called a CAN 22, although it may be called something else next year, with your county clerk, with your signature, the chair's signature, and the county secretary's signature on it. That is the form that's mandatory for your county clerk to put you on the ballot. If you want to run for U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, Indiana House, Indiana Senate, or county prosecutor, secretary of state, or state auditor, which I think is the other statewide office, then you will either, as Chris said, appear at our convention and put your name in nomination, or notify Chris prior to the convention that you want to be put nomination in writing, and with some excuse that, you know, my dog is sick or whatever, I won't be able to make it to the convention. We prefer if you appear because we like to know who we're voting for. When nominations close on April 24th, and people are nominated to be on the ballot by our convention, we don't do it in secret, we do it at an open convention, then I and John Chick, who's our state chair, will sign the appropriate forms and submit it to the state election division. And then we'll talk about the campaign finance forms, candidate forms, and stuff that you guys have to file. I believe Mike's going to talk about that here in a minute, right? If you don't make a decision, or if you know other people subsequent to your county convention or to the state convention, our convention is on April 24th. Our filing deadline, I believe, is going to be June 30th, because it has been in prior years. We can still get people on the ballot up to June 30th. There's a secret sequence of things that we have to do that the state changes every once in a while and forgets to let us know, but we're going to be more on top of it this year to make sure that people, post-convention candidates, can actually get on the ballot. So hopefully that clarified it. If you're going to run for a state level office or county prosecutor, you're nominated at the state convention. Anything county-wide or lower, you get nominated at your county convention. If you are in an unorganized county, then the state central committee will take care of that function for you. Just let us know.
Okay, and because we're doing this YouTube style, it's in 10-minute segments. And so I awkwardly have to reintroduce Mike Kole so it flows for the YouTube people. So,
sorry about that.
So, I'd like to now introduce our 2006 Secretary of State candidate and Hamilton County Chair, Mike Kole.
One thing Chris did, I kind of want to go over again. I was pleased to see actually that not that many of you had declared your candidacy yet. So if I could see some hands, who is a candidate right now? One. Good. No, that's good, because there are a lot of things that you should do before you file the papers, and I'm going to cover a lot of that. You know, when we talk about, or the title of my discussion is beginning the race. There are a lot of things you need to do to begin the race before you actually begin the race in order to do it properly. And you have a certain luxury right now. You have time. You know, if you come forward in April to run for office at the convention, you have some time, but you don't have the luxury of time that you have now, where you can put serious and important thought into the foundation of your campaign. Too many times candidates, they're on fire about something. They want to run, and that's a beautiful thing. It's a really great thing. But what happens is you charge ahead and you get into it, and then you realize, whoa, I hadn't thought about this. I hadn't thought about that. So it's actually a good thing that so few of you are have filed your papers and are at that point, because I'm going to bet you haven't covered everything. And I say that with a certain with a certainty that I hope you don't take as arrogance, but because when I ran in 2006, I declared my candidacy 26 months ahead of my actual election day. So I had as much time as any Libertarian candidate has ever had to prepare. And there were still things that I didn't think of with 26 months to cover ahead of the election. So it's important to be here today. I thank you for coming here and taking advantage of the ballot access, and to put your mind in gear to think of the foundational things that you need to do. There are really two things that are the most important that you can do, and I want to leave you lead off with that right away. The first one is know thyself. You have to know yourself. You have to know what's important to you. Why are you running for office? What has you on fire? For instance, if you are fired up about the war in Iraq, well, why would you run for county commissioner? If this is your top issue, don't run for county commissioner. You run appropriately. You run for a congressional office that can affect the war in Iraq, where you can be on the soapbox as a candidate and talk about that most important issue to you. But you have to know that before you start. You have to think about all of the offices that are on the ballot for 2010, and then do a self-assessment when you're thinking politics, which for some of you is all the time, which is beautiful, but when you're thinking politics, you're online, you're looking at news websites, which issues do you gravitate towards? Now, I grant you, libertarians have a very wide range of policy knowledge and policy interest. But generally, most of us are going to have just one or two or three issues, or maybe a category of issues that really fire us up. Some of us are very interested in the economy. Now, there's a lot of issues that go with that. I mean, there's labor law, there's unemployment, there's tax issues that underlie why businesses come to us, a wide range of things, but that's a category to know about yourself. Again, if you are very interested in being someone who can craft a budget or be part of the budgetary process, you want to run for an office that has legislative authority. You want to run for Congress. You want to run for state house or state senate, county council, city council. All of these, they have budgetary authority. You do not want to run necessarily for Secretary of State. It has no budgetary authority whatsoever. So if this is an area of your interest, you need to know about that. So what I suggest for anybody to do is to analyze yourself as to where you find yourself reacting and where do you post on blogs? Whose blogs? Do they have a particular flavor, and are there issues that you always hit upon? Take note of that. When do you take off your shoe and throw it at the TV when you're watching the news? This is an issue that obviously matters enough for you to do something like that, okay? Take note of that. This is something you probably want to run for. I have seen a lot of people, though, who have great, deep interest in very specialized issues, the drug war. And they're running for something that doesn't affect it at all. And it's going to be extremely frustrating to you if you do that. You're going to find yourself speaking inappropriately, and you'll find the press will notice. Well, this guy's running for dog catcher. What in the hell is he talking about the drug war for? Catch your dogs! That's what we want you to do. They'll notice that, and they will hold you to that. You should hold yourself to that first. You need to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. You need to know, for instance, maybe you are a phenomenal writer. Maybe you're a horrible writer, and you know that. Maybe you're a great public speaker. Maybe you look really great and desire yourself in front of a television camera. There are a lot of things that are strengths. For instance, before we started today, I don't know if you noticed this, I went around to the entire room, introduced myself, and shook hands with everybody in the room. Now that's something that's about my personality, for one thing. It's also working the room. And that's something that, for certain offices, it's much more important to be able to work the room than others. And there are some offices, if you can't work the room, you should not run for them. Because it's so expected that you are personable, and you may have the best policy solutions to our problems today. But if they look at you and go, he couldn't even come up and shake my hand, I can't vote for him. There are a lot of people who will think that way. So you have to know this about yourself. You have to do a very serious self-assessment about your strengths and your weaknesses. When you do this, when you know thyself, it will, it's funny, it will kind of direct you into issues or into offices appropriately, and you'll be able to run for them.